Guys, as you know, the crisis in Newark, some are calling it Flint, New Jersey, with the elevated levels of lead in the water. Now, we've got Team Chaser coverage today. Ashley, you chased down U.S. Senator Cory Booker, who had what I'm going to call a bombshell thing that he said. But I don't want to start with you. I want to go to Tamara first, because Tamara, you were there with Mayor Ras Baraka of Newark as they had a meeting that was supposed to at least allay some of the fears. What do you got?
Newark is desperately trying to figure out how to deal with infrastructure that is over 100 years old. Nearly 17,000 kids have been affected by schools that have elevated levels of lead in their drinking water. Fear is spreading across the city. Residents are even calling for their homes to be tested. I even went and tested the water of former Newark Mayor Sharp James, and I'll have more on that tomorrow. For now, Mayor Ras Baraka says that the city is doing everything possible, but the mayor says that this is a state problem. So where is the governor in this?
Well, he hasn't called me personally, no.
I chased this to an education forum that the mayor held on Monday evening, where even young elementary students stood up and asked the mayor,
"When will you fix the lead pipes?"
Now that was Yanar King, a fifth grader at the Boys Choir School, which is a private school in Newark, which he says has not had its water tested, but as a precautionary measure, they brought in bottled water, they turned off the water fountains. So now this shows you how big and widespread this problem is.
On their website for this meeting that was supposed to include kids and parents, it was listed as a 10:30 p.m. meeting that was supposed to last till 1 in the morning.
The time that the city said that this meeting was incorrect. So when I was looking around, I was like, how come there aren't more concerned parents? They had it listed wrong. Now, representatives in Trenton introduced bills to help fund measures to mitigate these problems.
The unfortunate problem is that because everybody is so focused on Newark that you make other residents around the state of New Jersey believe that this problem is only ours. And if people begin to see that it crosses municipalities, maybe we can get the kind of pressure we need to make this real.
The governor continues to maintain that this is not a crisis. He says the budget issues, they need to be addressed in June when the budget is negotiated.
If Governor Christie wants to prove this is not a crisis, he should drink from those water fountains with his kids.
I think as a follow-up, when you talk to the mayor again, stop making it a political issue. Man up and call the governor. It'd be one thing if the governor didn't take his call. So, Ashley, you caught up with United States Senator Cory Booker, who had just an unbelievable comparison.
I chased Senator Cory Booker at Labyrinth Books in Princeton for a book signing. What are your thoughts right now on the lead water crisis going on in Newark?
I know this can get me in trouble, but I'm going to say it anyway. If we had an attack on one of our schools by a terrorist tomorrow, God forbid, trust me, the response from government would be spending a lot of money. I'm not saying that that's wrong, but we have spent billions and billions of dollars on this idea that we want to protect ourselves from terrorist attacks. But right now, our children are under attack because of the toxicity in our country, the poisoning of our children, and you can barely get a news article about it.
Interestingly enough, these words come as his name keeps popping up as a potential vice presidential nominee. Who should be held accountable with 17,000 kids now having to be tested for lead poisoning?
This idea of responsibility is what frustrates me with that question. So many people want to look for who's to blame is often the question, but who is responsible is we all are responsible.
What I'm not seeing is any kind of culpability. Everybody is blaming everybody and spreading it thing. You know what happens there? There's nobody to blame after that.
And the reason why we're seeing that is because these are professional politicians.
Yeah.
This is politics 101. Acknowledge the problem, but don't take blame for the problem. Cory Booker here, he is playing all his cards right in D.C. He wants to be on that ticket with Clinton. A Clinton-Booker ticket could be a winner for the Democratic Party.
I think if you're a family member of a dead American from a terrorist attack, and you hear that comparison to lead in the water, where you know that the way you mitigate against that is, A, you replace the pipes, absolutely. You can also apply a filter. Oh, and you can use bottled water. That's a relatively simple solution versus terrorism. To put those two in the same category, I think that's insulting to every American who's ever experienced a loss.
Yeah, it may be controversial, but good for him for putting it out there and putting it in perspective, because honestly, lead poisoning and having lead in your system as a child is so harmful. It can lead to dangerous behaviors, learning disabilities, and people need to give it as much attention as they do these possible terrorist threats.